Do you prefer The Boys or Invincible? I think I prefer Invincible to The Boys. The comic for Invincible is great, and also there's so much like exhausting deliberate cynicism in The Boys. It just tires me out. I find it tiring. The Boys is cynical. So I don't know. I feel like there's kind of a capitalist realist element to this. It's kind of like how how Elon Musk really likes cyberpunk fiction, even though he is the person on Earth like most aggressively pushing us towards all the negative social conditions that create that world. The author wrote the book "Do Not Create the Torment Nexus," and then we've created the Torment Nexus from the hit book "Don't Create the Torment Nexus." Um, I think that people, usually like stupid people like Elon, but people in general, they see they see cyberpunk or they see any kind of dystopian future and they're like, "Oh yeah, of course things are that way because people are shit and life is shit and that's how it is." And I think that like the difficult, I don't know, response to the world is to imagine a better one because then you have to defend it. You don't have to defend things being shitty, right? If you do like an alternate fiction world where things are shitty, no one's going to challenge you on that. They're not going to be like, things wouldn't be that shitty." Like they'll just accept it, you know? You can be like, every other baby is blended for stem cells to nourish the wealthy, and people will be like, "Yeah, okay, I could see that," you know? But if you make a better world, people start arguing because they're like, "That wouldn't be better. That wouldn't be." Look at how argumentative people get over like the concept of a walkable neighborhood, even though every utopia ever shown or described ever in all of human history has had people like walking and playing around just openly in the roads or whatever, just like engaging in their community. Like you look at any depiction of a utopia and you've got like parks and just people like walking through it and engaging, but then you describe it and people are like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 you can't not have 80% of a city dedicated to car mobility. You can't pay taxes for that, even though plenty of countries already do, including our own. We just need to do it more." So yeah, basically what I'm saying is like being optimistic, it makes people more defensive, and I think it's a little bit more artistically brave, you know? If you make things that are shitty and cynical, people will go, "Oh yeah, man, that's shitty and cynical." Yeah, I actually think this is one of the reasons why people reflexively attacked Steven Universe so much. Like Steven Universe has gotten so much bad faith criticism largely because it is much less cynical than I guess like anything. It's very not cynical. What does this have to do with Invincible? Invincible isn't very cynical. It's not. It's not a very cynical show. But people liked Adventure Time though? Yeah, but Adventure Time is like objectively dystopian, right? It's in a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland future where humanity is gone. I mean, it's like, it's not really making an argument for a utopia. Adventure Time is not cynical, though. Yeah, but it's also not like, it's not really optimistic, I guess, either. It's mostly like, I don't know, everyone's trapped in the karmic wheel, isn't it? When I'm talking about optimism, I don't just mean it like uplifting. Have you seen the end of Adventure Time? Yes. Is Berserk cynical? Not even remotely. Not even a little bit. And that's what makes Berserk good, and that's what makes all of the shitty derivatives of it really bad. It's not even remotely cynical. That's why it's pogged up. Now, Adventure Time is very, "we're going to make it." I'm not talking about like we're going to make it. I'm talking about believing that the world can be better or not. If anything, I would argue that there is a bit of, if not cynicism, a little bit of like what I would consider to be a reactionary element to the Adventure Time world, which is that the underlying premise seems to be that everything changes but everything stays the same. That's like like overwhelmingly this like, I don't know what you call it, like Buddhist, you have cycles of life, but eventually everything kind of returns back to a state of equilibrium. There's like an underlying current of truth, that sort of thing. Everything stays right where you left it, but it's not like progress, really. I don't know about you guys. I personally would feel quite bleak about living in a world like that, man, because it seems like nothing changes. Like it seems like there's no like project to build towards, I guess. But it's a children's cartoon show, so what do you think about the new Batman film? I don't think that really plays into what I'm talking about, to be honest. I think that it was a good film. Doesn't humanity come back in Adventure Time? I mean, they were on an. Some people are going to be. You can't talk about any media, by the way, or people will say spoilers. You can't talk about Berserk. You can't talk about Adventure Time. You can't talk about Invincible. You can't, because someone in chat's going to be like, I've been putting off watching that for 8 years now, but like I was going to. I was going to eventually. Well, you'll forget by the time it comes up. I'm not sure if Adventure Time is a children's cartoon show. The Lich as a perpetual enemy does not seem like something for a kid show. Don't gas yourself up. It's a kid show. You are enjoying a kid show. Kid shows can have dark shit in it. They have for like all time, basically. I reject the patronizing belief that if you like you put a little bit of spice in a kid show and it's like, well, actually this is for adults. Just accept you like a kid show. I mean, it's fine, right? Like Mario 64 is like a great kids game, you know. You could say it's like for all ages, I guess, but you know who they're targeting, right? Joke's on you, I don't watch Adventure Time, so I was going off of vibes based off a few clips. Oh, I see. So you watched like the Lich Aura Vibes and Hype Moments compilation numbers 1 through 17, and that's where you got your impression of the show from. You saw the like fall clip. I see, I see. I see, I see, I see. I've not seen Adventure Time myself, but one of my homies gasses the fuck out of it, so probably. You know what's really fucked up, and I think one of the reasons why you have so much like arrested development with grown adults who fall in love with a children's media property and then they spend like years and years and decades glazing it. I think it's because a lot of these shows, I don't know, you can say like Adventure Time, Steven Universe. You could say Craig of the Creek, by the way, which is a great show. I feel like these are some of the only examples that we have of modern, especially animated, but just in general shows that try to build a world and build a sense of like aspirational, like something an instructive set of beliefs about the future, if that makes any sense. I feel like part of media is like there's an instructive element to it, right? Like you want to watch a piece of media and I think there should be lessons in media. I think that there's kind of like an IQ bell curve where on the low end you're like, media should teach you to be good, and then in the middle it's like, well, actually the purpose of art is to like excite and challenge and stimulate, so in reality like it can be anything. And then at the other end it's like, well, actually no, I think that good media should probably instruct you to be a good person. And I think that, and this is my problem with the cynicism too, what do you learn from watching The Boys? I mean that genuinely. Maybe I'm being a bit pissy here because I personally don't like the show, but the feeling that I get when I watch The Boys is like, oh wow, cool. You know, it's entertainment. Whereas, and Invincible, I guess, would be the immediate counter argument. But I think you could fairly argue this about a lot of media that's intended for children. You can go like, oh wow, the power of friendship. Which, by the way, people like to talk shit about the power of friendship as a concept. You motherfuckers could stand to learn a little bit about it. Okay, the world could use a little bit more of that. Okay, we have an epidemic of loneliness right now. All right, basically what I'm saying is like, you didn't learn it enough. Doesn't carry enough power in your mind. I don't know what you learned from watching The Boys. I feel like you could learn something from Invincible. You could learn stuff from The Boys too, I guess. Vosh saying you need to watch/read One Piece. If you want to make a comparison to something that is unambiguously not children's media, it'd be Berserk. I think that you can read Berserk and it can be like transformative in your life. Like you can read it and you can go, wow, I'm going to fundamentally rethink some of the ways in which I live my life. Like this media is of such good quality that I am going to reflect on myself, which is good. I mean, good art can do that. And I just don't know how many examples there are of that. And I think a lot of it is cynicism, you know? When you make this has been changing lately, but when you make like animated shows, especially, which have long been considered kind of like a medium for children, when they make adult animated shows, they're like shitty Family Guy knockoff comedies. Like that's overwhelmingly like the genre representation. You know? I think it's reflective of how we treat it. There's not much to learn from that, I guess. The Boys isn't just entertainment, it's literally telling you power is something you should be suspicious of. Is it telling me that, or is it like hitting me over the head with a mallet that's had that like embossed on the head of the mallet with that? It's like I get it. I get it. Wow, you're telling me that you shouldn't trust corporations and like superheroes would be assholes because of the power they have? Wow. Thank you. It's like it's a sophomoric perspective, not like a bad one to develop on, but if that's all you're saying, like that's man, you know? Like I get it. I get it. Well, you know it's obvious for us, but you know how normies are. No, I think normies get it too. And I think that it's we're falsely patting ourselves on the back to say like, "Oh, well, we get the anti-corporate undertones, but what about other people?" Other people do too. The problem is just that you're not offering anything better. That's the point that I was making earlier, you know? People like it's not like people are looking at cyberpunk media and going like wow, that looks great. They understand that it's bad and that there's a lot of social decay involved. They just don't know what they don't have like the lens of analysis, you know? Cons like Homelander though? No, they don't. Nobody unironically stands Homelander except for like 5 people who use him in VHS wave edits or whatever. It's not a sincere. No, right wingers are really bad at media analysis. Okay, you do you really think you're like giving right wingers the gift of wow, power is bad when you put it in the package named The Boys that's doing constant like anti right winger messaging? I just feel like we're letting ourselves accept bad stories because we're convincing ourselves that other people need them. But then you're the ones watching them. Right wingers love The Boys though. No, they don't. I'm sorry, you don't know what you're talking about. And that's like the 4th time in a row you haven't know what you're talking about. Vor467, in case you were wondering about whether or not you had successfully like disappeared into the fog of anonymity behind the wall of chat. You're doing it too many times in a row. You guys get what I mean, right? Look, I'll put it this way. The edgy shit they show in The Boys has shock value. I don't think it invites much real discourse. Like the discourse is about the shock value, right? I think the real discourse would be, what if they tried to make things better? Now, how do they try to make things better in the show? Like them making things better, they always do it in like an oppositional sense, right? Like stop that person, investigate that thing, you know, reveal it to the public, something like that. Invincible isn't edgy? No, I don't think so. It's gory, but I don't think Invincible is edgy. It's actually really earnest. Invincible places like a really heavy emphasis on the importance of like earnest, authentic, genuine altruistic superheroism. Cecil, head of Global Defense Force, is a genuinely good person. He like unambiguously is motivated. Like if Invincible was a worse remake, Cecil would be like primarily at the beck and heel of like corporate donors or like government black site. You know, we have our own nefarious agenda. Cecil's unambiguously on the side of humanity, right? There's a lot of stuff in that show I think that's like very clear on that, you know? Beck and heel, is that a thing? I don't know, man. I just work here. I don't think what you say about The Boys is true for all of them. It's true for Butcher, and that's critiqued in the show by other characters. No, yeah, but they never show him. They critique Butcher, but then Butcher ends up being right, and they always do this, and this pisses me off. They're like, oh, you're opposing the bad thing by being bad yourself, and the bad person who's opposing the bad thing is like, yeah, but that's the only way to do it. And then they try to stop the bad person from opposing the bad thing in the bad way, but the bad person doing the bad thing in the bad way ends up being correct. And then everyone's like, well, that was bad, but at least it got results. And it's like, fuck, then what was the fucking point? Make a damn point. Give the Butcher a whap in the back of the head, he goes to sleep, and then do something and have a victory in a non-cynical way. Show that there is like some good in the world. Show that there can be a positive outcome derived from sorry, the Butcher, whatever, Butcher, positive outcome derived from doing things ideally or authentically or earnestly. That's the point? Yeah, that's my point. The point is that fascism needs a bat, not procedure. Vor467, welcome back. Fascism needs a bat, not proceduralism. You're accepting 85 IQ plot lines because, like, you're accepting slop produced by corpos, by the way. And you're telling yourself that it's radical. It's not. The idea of like we were doing this shit, man. How do we get this better with like RoboCop? We were doing this version of this story back like 45 years ago, and we were doing it better. Like, if you guys wrote RoboCop, RoboCop would not have been conflicted by his lingering humanity in his robot shell, and he would not have been troubled by like the extent to which he has the ability to go beyond the law and permaviolence, and he would have just been like an unthinking automaton who would have slaughtered the corporate, the board of the company that built him, and then everyone would be like, and there'd be a side character being like, RoboCop, you've gone too far, but now that I think about it, it was the only way. And then at the end, people would fold their arms and say, yep, life is shit and that was shit and the way we did it was shit, but like maybe that's how life is. And that would be like every damn that'd be every damn fucking that'd be every like cynical cyberpunk corpo slop critique. It'd be the same shit every time. Oliver Hoven's a prophet and his works must be studied. Yeah, but the whole point, the thing that made RoboCop good was the fact that he wanted to do good even after becoming RoboCop. Like, even after becoming RoboCop, there was corporate pressure for him to be more of a bastard, and he was like, well, no, actually, I'm actually going to try to use this power that I have for good. And at the end, the point of overcoming was done because the corporate board essentially gave him no choice, you know? Like, he overcame the programming with willpower. It's a hopeful story. They asked him what his name was, and he said, it's Murphy. That shit still gets me. Just don't bring up 2 and 3, yeah. Boss, your audience hasn't seen RoboCop, it's too good for them. I mean, basically everything they enjoy is just like a bad remake of RoboCop anyway, so they might as well go back and watch the original. So you want media to give hope, basically? I'm saying that being cynical is easy and lazy. If all you have to offer is cynicism, then you're not making much of a point, because every idiot is cynical. Like, the stupid cynic believes that everyone else isn't smart enough to be cynical. You think it takes a high IQ to walk around going, everything's up these days. The man's bad, cops are evil, corpos are evil. Like, dude, everyone thinks that way, even conservative. Like, you think conservatives are walking around going like, I love corporations, I love power. They're not. You think they are because you view what they believe through the lens of their political messaging. It bounces off of them like sun rays off the moon. In reality, they're just as cynical, more cynical than you are. Cynicism defines their conservatism because they're the ones who don't think the government or taxes or whatever else can ever be used to improve anything. Conservatives almost definitionally don't believe in a better world. They are retards, though. That's true. They are retards. I'm agreeing with that point. But they don't believe in a better world, and the reason they don't is because they're cynical as shit. They think that everything is bad, and it's always going to be bad. Humans are innately bad. The government's innately bad. Everything's innately bad. Like, they're cynical. It's brain poison. Cynicism is like it has to be channeled, because unchecked cynicism doesn't give you anything. It doesn't give you any insight. It just makes you like shitty. It just makes you like a shitty person. Vosh, don't be cynical. Also, Vosh, you can't possibly hate Democrats more than me. 1, not the definition of cynical. 2, what a desperate attempt at a gotcha. What are you trying, like, why? What's this like reflexive, you're a the boys fan? It has to be that. Whenever people act that way, wait, hold on a second, looking at the messages. Vosh, isn't it a bit ironic that you're talking about cynicism when you do the exact same thing when referring to the Democrats? Okay, maybe they're not a The Boys fan. Maybe they're like a shit lib. Could be either, I guess. Cynicism is kind of like learned helplessness. No, I think so, to an extent, yeah. Do you want a mix of cynicism and optimism? I want you to listen to me when I talk, ideally, rather than like using your subpar lip reading skills to pick up on the movements of my mouth when you have me on mute. I don't know what to tell you. Cynicism on its own is not informed, it's not instructive, it's not radical. It's like level 1. It's not even level 1, it's level 0. So would you prefer Marvel and DC Universe than The Boys? You people are fucking killing me, you know that? Marvel generally has a pretty hopeful message. I'm defeated. I'm defeated. When I write stuff, I notice you can only make a character be a self-aware asshole for so long without hating him for not doing something about it. Yeah, that's been like the main type of character for decades now. I also think this is probably the reason why the Preacher is my favorite of the Garth Ennis comics, because it is incredibly it's very edgy, but it's very earnest, and if you read it all the way to the end, it's very obvious that the how do you put it, the underlying moral and social conflict of the story is very rooted in, like, I think, things that matter, and it has a good answer to those things. Is noir cynical? Noir is a genre. What are you saying? Is the show worth watching? I haven't seen the show. What about Watchmen? Watchmen is the reason we're in this fucking mess, man. Because Alan Moore wrote a counter to the existing narrative, the standard style for comic books, can I spoil the Watchmen? By ending the way that it did, by building up the way that it did. It was constructed to set up 1,000 little build-ups and non-payoffs to the bits of heroism you'd expect to see in that type of comic, ending ultimately in like a rejection of the idea that you could have a definite moral answer to any of the hijinks that these kinds of heroes get up to. You know? Like it was like I wouldn't say it was cynical necessarily. Maybe it was a little bit, but like that's the thing. You get to be cynical if you're the Watchmen. But it wasn't cynical the way like The Boys is. Alan Moore has probably read The Boys and watched The Boys, and he probably had to like pull a gun out of his mouth after doing both. Alan Moore has to do that regardless of what he's watching. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Is Walter White cynical? All right. You guys get a few more of this, a few more minutes of this before we move on, but any more bait questions get banned for the rest of the week. So like really make sure it's not going to make me angry. That's the line. Are we done? I'm just giving you guys a chance. Is SpongeBob cynical? Go to hell. Can you do Grimdark without it being cynical? Grimdark is like, it's meant to be a joke. Like 40K isn't cynical because it's not sincere. I mean, people take it sincerely, but they're like, you know. Do you think earnestness is making a comeback in media? I hope so. Man, I hope so. Did you have a similar impression with Preacher written by the author of The Boys? Have I been on mute? Did you just come in here, Dream Canoe? Do you have a previous chat message? You were here minutes ago. Did you not hear me? I'm banning you. I hate you. What is wrong with you people? Why do you do this to me? Like my life isn't hard enough with these goddamn political... You were literally right here. The Boys isn't even about how superheroes would be assholes if they were real, Vosh. It's about how easy it would be for them, and said heroes can be redeemed. I disagree. I overwhelmingly think that The Boys is about how superheroes would be assholes. I definitely think that. You can dress that up more, but that's definitely the point. Yeah, I think Kingdom Come was a good, like, rebuff to an extent. Do you think Quentin Tarantino films are too cynical or, like, too dark? Which film? There are different films. He's been making films for 40 years. What do you mean? How do you guys live like this? Sometimes chat has worse media takes than you sometimes. All right, Vora467. You could have gone under the radar. Take a day. Take a day's break. Sometimes chat. Bro, you are the chat! Do you think Dune is cynical? I don't think you know what that means. God. We're just saying shit. That's a lovely jacket. It's not a jacket. Banned. For 1 hour. I hate you. God damn it. This is a weird convo to have when a film can be cynical but still have a good message. I never said otherwise. Do you think chat is getting more retarded over time, maybe because you feed them? No, I think that media takes in general. I think and I'm saying this understanding that it's not like I don't spend a lot of my free time just playing video games or whatever, so I'm not pretending I'm some kind of like artisan media consumer. I think that most people, I do think that art is supposed to be instructive, and it's not instructive in a lot of cases anymore, and that's one of the reasons why people are artistically dead. I think that people are just kind of like slop consumers in a lot of cases. People get really defensive about their media takes, and because everyone has like a personal opinion of what they've consumed, right? Like everyone's got an opinion on the movie they saw, right? But if you know, you're watching politics or whatever, you agree with my opinions generally, you can sit back and let it ride. Basically, I just think it's like primed to invite really, really stupid. Is Rick and Morty sincere? No, not even remotely. It's like it's like the representation of the current trend of like cynicism above everything. Can you not answer this? I'm banning you. Can you really not answer that for yourself? Jesus Christ, man. They're really getting me today. Is Das Kapital sincere? Is Sofigo funny? Experts are pondering this. We're moving on. Popular equals bad, according to Vosh. I came over to YouTube chat to ban you, just so you know, Casey Little. I hope you know that you're special. Do you think bad media literacy equates to bad political literacy? I mean, to an extent, because it's critical thinking either way, right? Like there is an overlap in those tendencies. I think part of this is just like people like, I don't know, people just like talking about stuff they have opinions on. Even if their opinions are bad, they just want to contribute. They just want to like add their voice to the chorus a little bit. But at the same time, I do think that this is instructive. Like there are real, I guess like, I think it's meaningful and not a coincidence that to use an example I saw recently on Twitter, World War II anti-Nazi propaganda would not work today. Like back then, you could have some dude who works in like a cannery, and he would see a you know, Donald Duck in that like 3-minute cartoon where Donald Duck is like in the ammunition factory and he has to like Sieg Heil every picture of Hitler along the conveyor belt. And they watch at the end of that and they'd be like, wow, Nazis. Nowadays, if people watch that, they'd be like, what's the angle? Like, okay, wow, anti-Nazi. Wow, okay, what's the angle? I don't think people aren't really unified by like any underlying desire to be instructed by media anymore, which I guess makes us like in one way less susceptible to propaganda, but also way more susceptible to propaganda because now the only way, like the best way to get people on board with your dipshit conspiracy theories is to say, this is what the media doesn't want you to know. And then instantly everyone's like, oh my God, you're right. So now like we've gone in the other direction. People are so cynical that you can actually bypass their cynicism, but just by like rewarding their feelings of cynicism, which is just... The Vosh ego swelling that past few months is crazy. Can you imagine these people watch me in 2020? It's just... Oh. It really is the hardest job in the world. It's the hardest job in the world, folks. They hate you for being right. They really do. They really do. What about having a main character who's a skeptic instead of a cynic? No one gives a shit. You. You're just saying words, man. You're not saying you're talking because you want me to respond to you and you succeeded. You're not contributing. No one cares, man. Make a point. What about this? What about that? Make a point. What are people going to remember you for? The question prompt that the answer got to hog the attention from? Call me a retard. Do it. Do it, motherfucker. And me. Take it to your grave. I love Jack Reacher novels over Tom Clancy shit. You know, I did enjoy the season of Reacher that I saw. It was like so charmingly Americana. It was so like, I don't know. It just like what the 7-foot-tall, ultra-muscular, autistic king gets roped into local conspiracy. You know, he can snap the handcuffs with his muscles. So on. It was very charming. It was very delightful. And I would say quite earnest as well. Again, I like earnest. I do. When did it become cool to not try? Everyone's like, you know, every cool protag. It's like all the anime Mary Sue characters, you know? They have to look like they're not trying all the time. What happened to Gon? What happened to Gon freaks? Isn't Gon a good example of a character who pretends to not care? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You know what happened to Gon and it's not the best lol? What are you talking about? What does that have to do? We're talking about whether or not it's cool to care. He cares. What do you mean? I don't know. We need to genuinely move on. I just want you guys to know that if it wasn't for the fact that it would take longer than I'm willing to commit to it, I would have banned solidly like 50 to 100 people for asking stupid rhetorical questions that you put no effort into. You weren't actually interested in my thoughts on the subject. You were just typing idly because you're procrastinating on some house chore. You have yet to clean your room. You haven't done your dishes. You've got homework that you need to do. Like, I understand that, like, I'm like I'm part of like this neural framework that you're developing to enable procrastination, and typing in chat is part of that for you, and I recognize that, but I do resent a little bit having to spend any amount of my time and my thought considering a question that you didn't actually mean to put out there. You were just like idly putting it out, you know? Like my brain is capable of filtering out meaningless information when I'm like, I don't know, walking down a road and there's like pebbles and grass and shit like that, because my, you can kind of like filter that out. It's not immediately relevant unless something's moving or making a noise at you. But when it's people in chat talking, like I can't immediately do that. It takes me a second to realize like, oh, this person just legitimately doesn't give a they're just typing to type. Like, can we do a little better than that? Hey, I put a lot of effort into being a dumbass, Vosh. Well, then that makes you better than them, okay?